At the end of this lesson, you should be able to rank the 4 methods to control exposures to hazards: source control, personal protective equipment, engineering, and administrative controls. Name 4 common types of personal protective equipment on a construction site, and describe when and what type of respirator might be worn during a renovation job. Evaluate the specific hazards at your job site before deciding to rely on personal protective equipment during your work. Whenever possible, prevent exposure to the hazard by changing engineering controls or work practices. If you must rely on PPE, carefully consider each hazard and determine the specific type of PPE that offers the most protection. What types of PPE are commonly used on construction sites? Several types should be considered, including hearing protectors, which are discussed elsewhere in this chapter, respirators, hard hats, safety eyewear, safety shoes, gloves, and fall protection devices. In most cases, the employer is responsible for providing PPE, especially to protect against job-related hazards. Items such as fall protection harnesses and lanyards, hard hats, safety glasses, respirators, and hearing protectors are used exclusively on the job and must be provided by the employer. Employees may be required to pay for other items such as safety shoes, cold weather clothing, or gloves that can be used on or off the job. Construction workers often suffer serious eye injuries. Use eye protection as follows: safety glasses with side shields for particulates such as wood dust and projectiles such as nails and staples. Safety goggles for corrosive liquid splashes. Face shields for applications such as angle grinding with safety glasses worn beneath the shield to provide impact protection. And prescription glasses with side shields to meet the standard requirements for impact resistance. Each type of eye protection protects against specific eye hazards, and you cannot just interchange them. That is, goggles are appropriate for chemical splashes, while safety glasses are the correct choice for flying particles or projectiles. Face shields may be added to protect the face, but they cannot be substituted for safety glasses because they are not designed for protecting the eyes from impact. 3 classes of hard hats meet the safety standards of the American National Standards Institute, or ANSI. Class A provides impact protection and electrical protection up to 2200 volts. Class B provides impact protection and electrical protection up to 20,000 volts. And Class C provides only impact protection. A bump cap can provide limited protection against bumping of the head, but these caps are not approved for use where impact from falling objects is needed, or where the employee might contact an electrical circuit. Although your employer must make the final assessment, conditions hazardous to feet are generally present on housing renovation sites. Feet must be protected from punctures of screws or nails or from heavy objects such as lumber or bricks that could fall on the feet. Welders who work with molten metals must have safety shoes with smooth surfaces to protect their feet from hot slag. Workers should wear respirators when engineering control methods are not feasible and air contaminant exposures are above safe levels. It is also a good idea to wear a respirator even when engineering control methods are in use, if you anticipate the potential for high levels of air contaminants, such as during the cutting and grinding of concrete. Use a respirator that protects against the specific air contaminant to which you are exposed. Renovation workers may have incidental exposures to lead, asbestos, and silica. For these incidental exposures, a half-mask respirator with high-efficiency particulate filters, called HEPA filters, is an acceptable choice. It is your employer's responsibility to determine if you are exposed to hazardous levels of lead, silica, or other dangerous particulates. There might be some jobs that require more protection than you receive wearing a half-mask respirator. A half-mask respirator will protect you up to levels that don't exceed 10 times the OSHA permissible exposure limit. The PEL is the regulatory exposure limit set by OSHA for a specific air contaminant. If you are a contractor engaged in abatement work for lead or asbestos, your exposure levels are likely to be much higher than this, and more protective respirators are required. Examples of tasks that cause higher exposures include abrasive blasting to remove lead-based paint, torch cutting of metals coated with lead-based paint, the removal of asbestos-containing thermal system insulation, and abrasive cutting of asbestos panels. If you plan to work at these sorts of activities, you must comply fully with the respiratory protection provisions contained in the OSHA standards pertaining to lead and asbestos. When workers are required to wear respiratory protection, the employer must develop and implement a comprehensive program. The Respirator Program ensures that respirators will be safely used. The program must include at least the following elements: procedures for selecting appropriate respirators, medical evaluations for respirator users, fit test procedures for tight-fitting respirators, procedures for proper routine and/or emergency use of respirators, procedures and schedules for cleaning, storing, inspecting, repairing, and otherwise maintaining the respirator, procedures to ensure adequate quality, quantity, and flow of breathing air for atmosphere-supplying respirators if applicable, training employees about the respiratory hazards to which they are exposed and how to wear, use, and care for their respirators, and procedures to regularly evaluate the effectiveness of the program.